All right, everybody. The great Brian, is it Paone, Ellen?
Yes, Brian Paone.
Paone, that's a good. Now that's a writer's name. That's a writer's name. Paone.
Yep.
Sounds like a mystery guy, like a detective. Give me,
Mm-hmm.
give me Detective Clouseau and give me Detective Paone. Like a French detective. You know?
Yes.
I can see him
it sounds like
solving cases.
It comes from that era, Dick Tracy era.
Right. I can see him. I can see him closing cases in like a French brothel.
A brothel?
Can you imagine like a French? No, you think that Detective Clouseau and Detective Paone. Yes, we are here, madams. And it goes, well, we got a lot of hoes down. Hold down.
Oh my God.
And you can see like Detective Paone goes, we must see how you say investigate. You know?
We must check this out, monsieur.
Yeah.
We must check this out.
We must, how you say, solve this case. And you could see him going into the brothel and going, oh, ho, ho, ho. Oh, ho, 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 what do we got here? You can see him solving the case of the brothel, and it's not like a big case. It's like the brothel panty stealer, because the women don't have no panties because somebody goes in there and steals them, and then they bring Detective Paone. Oh, I will solve this case of the missing panties. I mean, you could see that, right?
That would be a case that you would be on.
Yeah, that would be. Okay, because
then everybody finds out. You'd be like Dexter, okay? Everybody, in the end, everybody finds out it was you stealing the paintings off the wall. You were trying to keep the police off your case.
Yeah, exactly. Can you imagine Detective Paone going, oh, it looks like here we got the clue. And he sniffs, and he picks up the panty, starts sniffing it. Yes, this is a fresh case. I will solve this if it's the last thing I do for Vive la France. I could see that. Well, I'm going to get the hell out of here. You're doing the interview. But come on, Detective Paone, you could see that. Him and Clouseau.
Yes.
It's like, ugh.
I'm going to let Brian in and let him answer you.
No. You got to do the interview. I don't want to overshadow your interview. I'm just going to say, that sounds like a French detective. I have solved the case of the French War. I am the greatest detective at all. I am Brian Paone. My next case will be the bras. And you hear that ding, 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 ding. There have been a case of missing bras in France. If you go to France, nobody wear bras. You know why they don't wear bras? No, it's been missing. I will solve this. And they call them like the girl's tits until he solves the case, like hush puppies. I will solve the case of the hush puppies. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm out of here. Ellen's going to do the interview with the great Brian Paone. This is very interesting, and I like what he's doing. I'm going to be listening to it. I'm going to get my coffee, and I hope you guys have a great interview. Ellen, I am out. Take it away. Do your great interview as you do always. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the interview that you've been waiting for. Ellen Johnson with Brian. Hey, I am the greatest French detective in all of France, Paone. Take it away, Ellen.
Well, thank you, Hammer. Welcome to the show, Brian. How are you doing?
I'm good. Can I just say two quick things?
Uh-huh.
All right. One, it's actually pronounced Paone.
Oh, Paone. Okay. Is that Italian?
Yes, I'm Italian. So
okay.
I would say, though, that Paone is probably the most common mistakenly way to say my name, but it's actually pronounced Paone because in Italy, in Italian, they don't have silent E's like we do, in the English language, so everything is pronounced. And then the other funny thing about him making me a detective is I've been a police officer for years, and I've been in law enforcement since 2002. So, he.
Wow.
If if my last name was pronounced correctly, and then maybe I was a detective over in Italy, that would be that would have been a little bit more in line. But yeah, I get that the last name pronunciation all the time. It's just something that it's one of those things because nobody thinks to say the E, but yeah.
So welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Good to have you. You're welcome.
Did you hear? Did you see my email this morning about my big snafu?
No.
I set my alarm, to get up because the interview was at 7:20, and that's kind of on the early side. So I wanted to make sure I was awake, and I got up and I was in my office. I got my Bluetooth in. I'm calling, and I keep getting a message that says no one's going to be answering this phone for another 2 hours. And I'm going, no, you have to answer the phone. I'm supposed to be doing an interview. I didn't realize that you're on the other side of the country, and I'm over here, and there's a 3-hour difference. And I finally realized what was going on, and I just, I did one of those like face palms. They said, "Oh, you got to be kidding me!" I was like, "I'm 3 hours early for my, for an interview." So.
Yeah, that's like last night. We said, we were going. Oh my God! Like I said, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I was reading your job form, and you have a lot of interesting books. And this genre, rock fiction, I've never heard of this genre before. So can you explain a little bit about it? Is this your original idea, or has it ever been done?
No. Yeah, no, it's actually it's gained a lot of popularity within the last it's gotten a lot of steam in the last 10 years, but just within the last 5 years, it's really become a viable thing. I mean, there's multiple websites devoted to it. There's authors that work only in it now, and it's technically it was. I don't know if you've ever heard of a book or a movie called High Fidelity.
Mhm.
So that was back in. That was 1995, and that's actually considered the novel that started the whole thing. So it's been around now for, about 20, almost 25 years. But what it does is what rock fiction is. Rock fiction can be any genre, because a rock fiction novel can be drama, horror, sci-fi, comedy, romance. But what it is movies can be made from books. Like for instance, The Martian was a best-selling novel, and then they went and made the movie with Matt Damon. So the movie of The Martian was an adaptation of the book. What rock fiction is we write the book adaptations of albums. So think about it: if the Pink Floyd's The Wall album was never turned into a movie, but instead someone had written the book of it, that's what rock fiction is. So we take concept albums or loosely themed albums, and we actually find the narrative inside and write it as an actual novel. And the really cool thing about rock fiction is you don't need to know anything about the band or the album in order to enjoy or understand the novel. Like if you went to watch The Martian, I always use this as an example. I don't know why. But if you go to watch the movie The Martian, you don't need to even know there was a book to sit there and enjoy the movie and understand what's going on. Because I get a lot of times when I do interviews or I do conventions or book signings, and I start to explain what it is, every once in a while I get someone to go, well, I don't think so because I've never heard of that band, or I don't think so. I don't really know that album too well. And then I always go back to, well, can you watch a movie without reading the book? Well, yeah. And can you enjoy it and understand it? Well, yeah. There's a lot of movies I've seen that I've never read the book. Probably hundreds of movies that I've never read the book, and that's what rock fiction is. We approach it. A good rock fiction novel and a good rock fiction author will approach it in a way where you don't even have to know that it's based on an album at all. You can get to the end and not find out for 5 years later that it was based on a novel. It's not one of those like prerequisites that you need to know anything about the album that it was written from.
Wow. Yeah,
that's my feel.
Well, thank you. You have four novels. I'm looking at your form, You have
I do.
4 novels. Yes.
Yes.
Dreams Are Unfinished Thoughts. Can you tell me about this one?
Sure. It's actually I'm a big music lover. So that's actually not considered a rock fiction novel because it's not based on an album, but it is music based. I was a fan of a band in the 90s, and I became friends with this band, and the singer and we became really, really close. And then he started dealing with drug addiction and depression in the music business, kind of all the throes and the cutthroat attitudes of the music business and contracts and record labels and tours. And the book is what it was like for me to go from being a fan of a band, going to shows, to then meeting him, becoming friends with them, and then actually being someone who dealt with his drug addiction, and he wound up passing away in 2005. And when he died, I didn't know what to do with my grief. I had nowhere to put it. I was having a hard time plugging it in somewhere. And I've been writing my whole life, but I'd only ever written short stories, ever. I'd never written anything but short stories. And my roommate said, maybe it's time you write your first novel, and maybe you need to tell, this story because it's unique. How often does a fan befriend a rock star, and then the fan actually turns into almost like, I was almost like his caretaker when he started getting heavy into the drugs, and I would make him sleep on my floor for a weekend so he could detox off the heroin and stuff like. Once again, you don't need to even know the band that I'm talking about, because the book is written as any story of somebody who has someone in their life who's dealing with a drug addiction and depression, and it kind of goes through all our times together and everything that encompassed having a friend like that.
Wow. Your latest novel.
Yes.
Your latest novel.
Moonlight
Welcome
City Drive.
to you. Yeah.
No, Moonlight City Drive is the new one.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. Moonlight on City Drive. Tell us about that. That is your latest one?
Yes, that came out in November, and it's a supernatural crime noir novel. It takes place in 1947 Las Vegas, and it involves a detective who's very disgruntled with the police department, the sheriff's department there. So he kind of went off on his own, and he started his own, PI company, or his own business. And it's a very Dick Tracy. It's got a very Dick Tracy feel to it. It's almost like Dick Tracy meets Sin City. It's almost got a cartoony feel. And he gets a case where there's a Jack the Ripper style killer out in Vegas on the loose, and he's only killing the prostitutes. So this detective takes the case and he starts trailing him, tracking him down. But what the detective realizes is that this killer is doing more for getting the quote unquote filth off the street than the police could ever do. So instead of hunting him down to capture him, he hunts him down to see if he can meet up with him, and they can team up together. And that's what eventually happens. It's not really a spoiler because it happens pretty early in the book. But so he actually winds up admiring the killer for the people he's choosing to kill. The supernatural side of it is that kind of behind the scenes, the whole like Wizard of Oz, don't look behind the curtain thing. The killer is actually being masterminded. The whole thing's being masterminded by an ancient witch, and she's got an army of ghouls that's out in Vegas, kind of in the shadows and stuff. So that is kind of an occult, supernatural thing that comes into play, where he's not really acting on his own. So, and she's in it for selfish reasons too. She's actually collecting all of the people he kills and adds them to her army of the undead. So yeah, there's all those things that
I was about to ask: is this an army of zombies? The undead?
No, they're not.
Yeah.
No, they're not zombies because they don't attack the living. Okay. They're not walking around looking for eating brains. And if you get, they don't. and like you don't turn into one of them if one of them kill you. So they're not zombies. There's a difference between zombies and ghouls, you know. So they're more ghouls. Just they're the undead, but they're not zombies. I definitely want to make it clear it's not a zombie novel. You know.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell us about your Billy Joel inspired novel, Welcome to Parkview.
Yeah, Welcome to Parkview was basically, I was listening to the Billy Joel Piano Man, the song. I kind of went through like this week where it's like, it's the only song I was listening to. And I really loved in the song how there's all these different characters in the bar, you know, and the song is really just lines and lines of different people. And I started thinking to myself, man, wouldn't it be great if these people had a backstory, you know, where they came from, who they were, you know, they're all in this bar, and he even names them all, and, you know, they all obviously have different things going on in their lives, you know, and it's all crammed into a 4-minute song. There's like a whole novel crammed into a 4-minute song. So I started thinking about what that would be like to have a bar where, kind of like the old TV show Cheers, where you know, everybody has a backstory, but nobody really knows what the backstory is when they're in the bar, because the bar is like their safe place. The bar is kind of like where they can go to not be themselves. So Welcome to Parkview is not considered a rock fiction novel because it's not the song Piano Man written out as a novel. I didn't use any of the characters from the song. I didn't actually use it. It's just inspired by that idea that here's a bar, and everybody knows everybody's name, but does anybody really know who these people are outside the bar? And that was the basis for Welcome to Parkview. So in my novel, each chapter you meet another character. So each chapter's they're almost like vignettes. With each chapter, you're introduced to a new person, and then halfway through the book, the people start actually their outside lives start intertwining, and then eventually they all mean something to each other, and everything starts to matter. Until the big ending where, you know, it all kind of comes to a head. So but it was inspired by, you know, that idea that he had put together in that song, and then I just ran with it.
Yeah, I see that you have a time travel novel here called Yours Truly 2095.
Yep.
So it sounds really interesting. Tell us about that one, some of the characters, and how you came up with that idea.
So that is a rock fiction novel, a legit one. That is a novelization of Electric Light Orchestra's album Time. And ELO is one of my favorite bands, and Time is my favorite album by them. And ever since I was probably in middle school, I've always listened to that album and thought, man, I wish this was a movie. I wish someone made this into a movie. I never in my wildest dreams ever thought about it being a book, but every time I listened to it, and then all through high school and through college and as an adult, every time I put that album on, I'd be like, man, this would be the most best, like the coolest time travel movie if someone ever, you know, made it. And then I just like one day, I like woke up in the middle of the night. I was like, why don't I write the book? You know, I've been thinking about this for like 20 years or whatever. You know, so I did. I dissected. It took me 3 years to write. I dissected every lyric that's on that record, you know, because there's very specific characters, because it's a concept album, you know, about a guy who gets stuck 114 years in the future with a wife, with his wife that's not really his wife. She's like a replica of his wife. Spends the first half of the book trying to get back to his wife in 1981, where he comes from. But as he spends more and more time in 2095, he starts to wonder, is that really, you know, the best life for him? Because he's been kind of given a golden ticket to start anew in the future. So it raises the question, if you had the ability to wipe the slate clean and all of your mistakes and all of your things that your failures could go away and you start new in another time, you know, would you do it? And it's technically it's considered a time travel romance because he does, you know, there is somebody new in the future, you know, that he wrestles internally with, you know, if she's, you know, should replace his wife, you know, his real wife back in the time he's really from, and should he get back to his wife or not, which is the right decision to make. So it kind of tackles those moral issues if we ever were able to time travel. Is it cheating if you can go to another time?
Yeah.
So,
well, these sound like really great, interesting books. Brian, we're going to take a break, and then I see that you have 2 upcoming projects that are coming out, and when we come back, we're going to talk about those, and we're going to touch on your short stories that you have as well. So, and Brian may even come in and ask you a couple of questions as soon as we come back, so stick around. You're listening to Hammer 96.7 BT Radio in Los Angeles, and we are back. You're listening to Hammer 96.7 BT Radio in Los Angeles, and I am executive producer Ellen Johnson, coming to you live from Metairie, Louisiana, and we are here with the great author Brian Paone, and he's talking about his rock fiction novels. So welcome back, Brian. So I see that you have a couple of upcoming projects and some short stories. So first of all, tell us about your upcoming projects, what they're about, when they're going to be out.
Sure. The Moonlight City Drive, my brand new novel that came out in November, is actually going to be a trilogy. So I've got part 2 and part 3 that I'm working on now. Part 2 will be out next year, and then part 3 will be out in 2021, because we're going to do 2 years in between each book. It's not going to be a series. As soon as the third one is out, it's done. It's going to be a legit trilogy. So I'm working on that. And absolutely non-music related, my wife, who's an officer in the Navy, she was deployed to Djibouti, Africa, back in 2010 for 8 months. And when she got deployed for 8 months and left me home alone with a 2-year-old and a 1-year-old, for me to basically, I learned a lot about parenting in those 8 months. And I kept every single night, I kept a journal of what happened that day. And then every night I would email her that whatever I had written in the journal. It was everything from, what the kids ate that day to, crazy things that happened. And she was gone for 221 days. So I have 221 journal entries of everything that I went through. And I've been told multiple times by family members and friends, they're like, there's some like crazy stuff that you went through while your wife was gone. They're like, this could be like a really funny book. So that's what I'm working on right now. That's actually going to be my next book. That's coming out later this year, the end of 2018. And it's going to be, do you remember the movie Mr. Mom with Michael Keaton?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I love that movie. So it was funny. It was great. I'm writing it in that vein. I'm approaching it from that like comedic, I open the door to my daughter's bedroom and there's like a poop handprint on the wall and she's looking at me and she's like, uh-oh, it's just like stuff like that, and I didn't have anybody to help me. I had no support system whatsoever. I didn't have any family or friends because we were living in Georgia at the time, and both me and my wife are from Massachusetts. So the closest family member was like, a plane flight away. I couldn't be like, make a phone call and say, help, grandma, grandpa, or help, auntie, whatever, I need help with the kids. I was literally working full-time as a police officer, 40 hours a week. I was writing Welcome to Parkview at the time, and my wife was gone for the 8 months, and I had a 2-year-old and a 1-year-old. So, wow.
So that's what the book, my next book is. It's going to kind of be this, the crazy stuff that, I think every parent goes through, or, because I was really a single dad for 8 months,
Mhm.
So,
yeah.
So that,
that was crazy.
Yeah, I know it was. Looking back, I think it'll make for a good story. I know. I hope so. And then the other thing I've got going on is I got a couple other rock fiction stuff in the works. I'm going to be working on a Pink Floyd novelization. And do you remember the band Digital Underground who did the song Humpty Dance?
Mhm. Yeah.
I'm actually doing a rock fiction novella of the album that the Humpty Dance is on.
Wow. That should be interesting.
It'll be short. Yeah, it'll be probably only about 150 pages, but yeah, so I'm working on that too. So that's what I have in the pipeline.
Well, very good. Well, Brian may want to come in and ask you some questions. So, okay. Brian, are you here? And then after that, we're going to let people know where they can reach you.
Right.
Meet Brian Paone.
Hello.
Paone. Hey.
Paone. I'm a Paone.
Paone. That's even better in Italian. We can do a great story on that. I love what you're doing. Is this a original concept, or where did you get your muse to take songs or groups and turn it into some kind of a novella? I mean, to me, this is an original idea.
I'd like to think that me and there's a few other of us rock fiction authors that we really hope that if this as a movement really gets some legs, we hope that we're looked at as, you know, the forerunners or the grandfathers of it. You know, I'd like to think if this does kind of blow up as a way to write, that, you know, there's like 4 or 5 of us that we've been doing it, you know, for about 10 years now. But it's just the love of music and listening to a song or listening to an album and seeing the characters and seeing the settings and not just hearing the music and hearing words, but you actually start to see, you know, the storyline within the lyrics. So I don't know if it takes a special person to do that or it just takes someone who, you know, really loves a certain album to do it.
Right, right.
You know, so, but yeah, I think I love music. Music is number one. I mean, I'm an author, but to be honest with you, music is first and foremost my number one love. So it was kind of a no-brainer putting my love for music and then, you know, my love for writing together.
Well, are you afraid of getting into trouble? Are you afraid of the group or the record company or whatever? They see your book, and I know you're inspired by their song or a group. Are you afraid of it crossing lines like, hey, you're kind of stealing our copyright infringement of our song, and are they afraid that you're misinterpreting? I'll give you an example. Sting did a song, Every Step I Take. Well, I'm sorry, what is that song? I'll be watching
every breath you take.
Yeah.
Every breath you take.
Right, and Sting was going through, he was doing a concert, whatever, and some woman came up to him and said, I love that song. It's a romantic song. And Sting snapped at her, saying, are you kidding me? That is the most horrible song in the world. But what I'm trying to say is everybody has their interpretation of the song. So are you afraid that you're going to misinterpret what the song really means and then the record company's going to come after you because of this?
So it's actually interesting you bring that up because this is one of the most common things I'm asked. And we had I did talk to a lawyer back before I started working on Yours Truly 2095, which is, you know, an Electric Light Orchestra based novel. And the copyright law is set up that you cannot copyright an idea, and the lyrics of the songs are considered an idea. But what I would get in trouble with is if I ever use any of the lyrics verbatim in the stories or novels, meaning if I actually reproduced the lyrics. None of the lyrics are in my work. It's just the storyline that the singer is singing about. So I take the storyline and then I make my own. Then I write my novel or my short story off the storyline, but none of the lyrics. So unless I do get permission from the band, and that has actually happened, and then it's kind of like, yeah, we love this, go for it. You know, use all of our lyrics. It's really cool. Or, you know, I err to the side of caution, and I don't. But so no, the intellectual property of the piece is owned by the band, but the idea that they came up with for the song or the album is you cannot copyright that.
Okay.
And the best analogy of that is like Peter Benchley wrote the book Jaws, which was Steven Spielberg made the movie. He had an idea of a killer great white shark, and you know the two people, the sheriff and the fisherman who go out to hunt it. Well, that was his idea. I could turn around and make the same exact movie. I could make a killer white shark and a sheriff and a fisherman who go out to kill it, and Peter Benchley and Steven Spielberg can't sue me. However, if I use any of the dialogue from Jaws, or that's where the lines get crossed. So as long as I'm not using the lyrics, the idea is fair game.
Oh, pretty smart. You know, it'd be good. Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. Can you imagine that mystery?
Oh my God!
Oh my God.
Yeah, the Beatles. Oh my God.
Oh, but that would be a great mystery with an author with your talent, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. Oh my God! But I think you're doing great. Is an original. I don't know how to interview you because it's so original. I never heard of anybody doing this. But I want to say you caught my attention and congratulations. I mean, you put the two loves together, bands and murder. Cool.
Yes. Thank you.
And so, how did you get into? Well, you're a police officer. You were a former police officer, so your interest is in the crime drama. I can understand that. And how long were you a police officer?
Well, I was a police officer all the way up until 2 weeks ago today. Yeah. So I've only not been a police. Yeah. I retired 2 weeks ago today, so I'm only 2 weeks in, so this is kind of good. Since 2002, so 16 years.
Mhm.
Yeah, I did 4 years in Massachusetts, and then I met my wife, who was in the Navy. So then we got stationed down in Georgia, and then I did 10 years down there, and now we're in North Carolina. We got stationed in North Carolina, and I did 2 years here, so that's 16 total. And being a dependent of someone in the military, every time she got stationed, we would move, start over, and apply at police departments, and then, and start all over from the bottom of the barrel at a police department and be the rookie again. And I've done that 3 times, and we're getting ready to move. Right. Well, we're getting ready to move in June. The Navy is now sending us to California, and I'm just not going to do it again. I've been doing it for 16 years. I can't start again at 41 years old at 16 years
as a rookie,
and then and then be looking at the 21-year-old as the same. I can't. There comes a point where I'm like, I got to hang it up. I got to hang it up. So we're moving to Monterey, California in June. And
that is so
I just
beautiful.
Yeah,
so
that's
beautiful.
what we've heard. I've never been there, but that's what I heard. So
God.
it's just it was time to. It was time. But you know what? I'm doing really well with the books and the writing, and I do a lot of events, and there's some income coming in with the books, and the income is enough where it's a supplement to my wife's salary. So I'm kind of in a sweet spot right now where this next move, our next stationing in Monterey, I really don't have to work. I can really just focus on the book and putting out some more novels and stuff.
Well, Monterey, California, consider it like a little bigger Martha Vineyard meets. It is. I don't know how close you are, but it's cool. Hearst Castle, I think it's in there. Monterey, Hearst Castle is. And if you're by Hearst Castle, you're going to get really annoyed because it's a huge castle on a big mountain and always lights up, and you can see it from miles. It's the Hearst Castle.
Really?
But Monterey, oh my God, Monterey, it's like a little Martha Vineyard meets a little bit of Connecticut. You put those two together, and you got, it's just absolutely gorgeous.
Well, being from New England, you're speaking my language, so.
Aren't you going to miss the action? I mean, come on, the brotherhood and the friends and, 16 years being a police officer.
I'll tell you what. Yesterday I got a text message from one of my fellow officers of the department here in North Carolina that I just left. And he texted me, really miss working with, I really miss you, brother. It was just a text out of the blue.
Right.
And, that really, warmed my heart. And I realized, to be honest with you, I don't know if I miss the actual job yet, but I definitely have started to miss the people. Because the job is hard. The job has some bad days. There's some days you go home and you wish that day never happened. So I don't know if – now, I'm sure one day I'll wake up maybe a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now and go, man, I really miss policing.
Right.
But not yet. It's only been 2 weeks. It's been 2 weeks today. So, but I definitely have started to miss the people because I go, wow, I'll never work with them or see them ever again, unless I run into them somewhere because we're moving, we're going across the country.
Right.
But yeah, I definitely, I worked in Georgia for 10 years, and there's some guys down there that I I really miss. Like I really miss, because you spend so much, and these are people that might one day save your life at a call, so you
Sure.
get close, because if the poop hits the fan and they're your only backup, you don't want to piss them off that morning at breakfast or something, So.
Wow. But you know what? It's great to see. It's great to see somebody's taking something original, man. I love it when people have original ideas. I mean, with music that you love, there's no end of your storyline. I mean, it can go on forever.
Yep. I mean, yeah. I mean, and new music is coming out every day, and that can inspire you.
Right. No, that's the thing. There's never, the well is bottomless. It really is.
Oh yeah.
And once you, so there's a couple new rock fiction authors who have just gotten into it within the last year or 2 years, and they talk to me through Facebook Messenger. Or, I've had some conversations with them, and they say the hardest thing for them now is once you get into it, every song you hear, you go, oh, I could do that, and then the next song comes on, and you go, oh, I know I can do that too, and then they listen to an album, and they go, oh my God, I can make it, and all of a sudden you have a list of 63 songs or albums you want to write, but there's more songs than there's time in the day, And once your brain starts listening to songs or listening to albums, and you start seeing the storyline, you can't shut it off, and it's like, it's like
you know what, Brian? Picture this, Brian. Picture this. Okay.
I don't know what Brian you're talking to.
Well, both of I'm actually talking about that. Picture this.
Okay.
This song, Rock Me Amadeus.
Huh?
Picture that.
I don't.
What kind of plot can you? What kind of plot line can you come up with that?
I would have to go back and look at pull up the lyrics again. It's one of those songs that I know the melody, but I don't really know if I would be able to start spitting out the lyrics right now.
That's a hard one.
Yeah, but see,
how about Queen?
I'm thinking, Queen, Bohemian Rhapsody.
Right. Bohemian Rhapsody. Wow, that's a novel.
Yeah, did you know that? So somebody just made a rock fiction tube movie, like a short film. It's like the length of the song for Bohemian Rhapsody. Like they took what they think the storyline is, and they got actors, and they filmed it.
Wow.
It was actually pretty interesting. Yeah, it's not like a music video. They actually wrote a screenplay and then acted it out to the song. It's actually pretty neat.
Wow.
But
that is.
Anyway.
Whatever you do, don't start listening to country. You'll
no, I know, right?
Forever you're gonna write forever.
Yeah.
Forever.
So my 9-year-old son has a school presentation that I've got to go in and watch.
Sure.
So I'm having a really great time with you guys. I'm not trying to cut this short, but
really quick.
No.
Quick. Tell everybody where they can get your books and how they can get in touch with you.
Awesome. So all 4 of my novels are available worldwide in Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, Target, of course, every Amazon store, no matter where in the world you live. And also, all of my books are available in paperback, ebook for all e-readers, and audiobook. And that's important because I know a lot of people listen to audiobooks because they don't have time to read because we have such busy schedules. So my books are iTunes and Audible. I do really well with the audiobooks. I have people say, "Oh man, I really love to read that book, but I just don't have time to read anymore. I haven't read a book in years." And I go, "Well, I have the audiobook." And I go, "Oh, then I find out that they went and downloaded the audiobook and listened to it in a week, So, and then my website is it's just my name.com. So it's Brian with an I, BRIAN, and then Paone is spelled PAONE. And it's brianpaone.com, and all of my books are available. And if you buy them through my website, I sign it and personalize every single paperback that's moved out of my online store. It's kind of my way of thanking people for using my online store and not using a retailer, because I get more profit if it goes through my store. So it's kind of a little kick-in I do. And if anybody wants to email me, my email is my first name, Brian, at brianpaone.com again, and I'm on Facebook. And if you search me, I usually I'll reply to everybody.
I found you in one of the great groups on Facebook. Yep. It was the writers group.
Yeah, that's my group. Yeah.
Yeah.
If he doesn't get to that presentation with his son, he's dead.
Yeah.
He needs to
we
get there.
We will let you go. It was really good talking to you, Brian.
It was
Thank you.
great. I really
Brian,
appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Hey, anytime, buddy. Continue success. Continue success.
Thank you, sir.
Brian Paone. Look at you. Have a great day. And thank you for coming in, Brian. You're great. You're
Thank you.
fantastic.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.